Jar Oil. The company have filling stations across the country, and our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Jar Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market.
Excellent jam, Suwaid.
Yo, apply. Yo, luta do dede. Luta mo nulo jel mo to nga andil mahalis. Hello?
Busol mo fine.
What?
Busol mo fine.
Oh, yes!
Wave Axina Gambia. Deposit and withdraw money, pay bills and buy mobile credit without fees. Transfer money wherever in the country for only 1% fee. At Wave. Busol mo fine? Wave. Your money is yours.
We're talking to Essa by Faal of APP Sobea, and well, we've gone around the world, all right? It's time now to zero in on local affairs, and if you're just tuning in, thank you very much for watching, thank you very much for listening. Essa, let's localize this conversation.
Indeed.
I read a piece on you recently, and I, came across a new word, a fusion between Baro, our president, and economics. Now I hear Baronomics. What's Baronomics?
I coined that word to showcase President Barrow's system of economics, his approach to management of the Gambia's economy. Words like this often come up here and there. Yeah. We have heard of Reaganomics, the Obama economy, and stuff like that. So I coined Baronomics to show that, well, his approach is just borrow or tax and spend. It's all slash and burn. But that is the truth. Because we think that just we can borrow our way out of our present malaise into economic development. But that's a fallacy. Yes, governments do borrow.
Exactly. They would say America is the most indebted country in the world.
Yes, but America's debt is in US dollars. They can print US dollars and pay. They don't have to generate economic activity to pay their debts. They can just print and pay. Our debt is in foreign currency. We have to earn that foreign currency to pay our debt. That's why our economy is almost on free fall. Look at the Gambian dalasi. It has deteriorated almost 50% from the period that Barrow took over.
Oh, wow. In 8 years, it's gone down 50%.
Yes. This is my educated guess. Because in 2023 alone, it has deteriorated by 10%, 9.9%. All right? When we're talking about from 2016. Between 2021 and 2023, it has deteriorated between 20 to 25%, depending on which currency you're talking about. So for the entire period which he's been in power, it has deteriorated almost 50%. My brother, today as we speak, the pound is $80 50 bututs. Well, if I say this, they'll say, Essa Faal does not know what he's saying, and they will quote you the central bank indicative rate. Who is trading on the central bank indicative rates? Nobody. Nobody. All right? We have to be real and go to the market and find out what is happening there. In fact, by the end of the year, we would be lucky if the pound sterling does not hit $100.
Are you serious? In a few months, it will go from 80.50.
No, I'm talking about the pound sterling.
Yeah.
The euro is now $80.50.
Oh, okay. Okay. The euro is 80.50.
But remember,
the pound is where?
The pound is almost 88 or so.
Okay.
I haven't traded.
And you're saying in the next 7 months it could hit $100?
Yes.
Wow.
And let's watch. Maybe they would artificially try to prop it up to show that Essa Faal lied on this matrix, but I am telling you, my brother, I'm not interested in what the number is at the end of the day. My interest...
You should be, because when if you become president...
But let me land.
Yeah.
Let me land. My interest is why are we sleeping our way and let the dalasi slide downwards as we engage in this slumber? This government is sleeping and the dalasi is sleeping. Until when? It is about time we end this. Baronomics, you borrow or you tax and spend, is not helping Gambia. It is helping just a few people. Baro is impoverizing a lot of Gambians. Because just imagine if the pound would be $100 at the end of the year. It therefore means that the middle income earners in Gambia, those who earn around $10,000, would be earning £100 in the month. Can you imagine? It's in fact an insult to anybody who would spend £15,000 per annum to get an education. And then you come to Gambia and you earn £100 a month. What is happening here? Is the economy stupid, as they would have it in America? It's a terrible tragedy. This government is not paying attention to the right things. This excessive, uncontrolled borrowing is sinking Gambia. Yes, you can borrow and build a nice house, but you'd have to pay the loan at the end of the day.
With interest.
With interest. So you impoverish everybody along the way. That is what is happening to us. Well, imagine a debt of 120 billion. We cannot afford that. You see, instead of putting all this debt on roads, look.
Roads are good, aren't they?
Infrastructure is good. It helps develop. It helps encourage fastens development. But the thing is, you have to invest in your priorities. And our priorities are not these roads that we have. Our priority is to save Gambia from the excessive leakage of foreign currency. And to do that, we have to invest massively in agriculture. Remember, we spend $300 million to import what we eat. I will invest a lot of the money that we receive in agriculture to prevent the leakage of that $300 million. Because if we would save that $300 million, we would have our own money to invest in infrastructure.
I was just about to ask you, should you ever become president, how would you deal with the situation? I hope it doesn't get to the point where the pound is $100.
It is scary, isn't it?
Because then you would inherit also a foreign debt stock that you will now be unable to, because, you will still have to pay in pounds.
Yes.
£10, as you say, suddenly becomes what?
Exactly.
$1,000.
Exactly. So this is something we cannot afford. That's why I say Baronomics is bad. It's poisonous, it's toxic, and therefore Adama Barrow's government has to be removed from this country through the ballot box come 2026.
And when you spoke about, somebody going and paying £15,000 to get an education only to come back and be paid, £100, £100, you almost went into my next question, which is the C word. You've consistently hit at the corruption levels in this in this government. Why are you focusing on corruption, and what will you do about corruption should you ever become president in this country?
You see, I have outlined corruption as one of the threats to Gambia.
Yes, you did.
And corruption is such that so bad that foreign investment that could happen in Gambia is not happening because of corruption. I know a lot of Gambians abroad who want to bring their money in this country. But because of the corruption, they will not bring their money.
Well, if they're just bringing the money to keep it in banks, nothing will happen to that.
No.
Unless maybe they want to invest.
But the thing is, having money sitting in banks is a waste. You want your money to work for you. That's why you need to invest it. Even myself, it has happened to me. Corruption.
What happened to you?
No, I will not explain that now. Let me take a pass on that.
It will help your campaign.
No, the time will come. The time will come. This is not, like I said, I'm not that person who confronts certain things if it would just brew trouble. It's not necessary. I can deal with my own issues. I am not in politics for my own issues, for my own self-interest. I am the voice of the voiceless. I am speaking for the people. I am talking about the things that pain Gambians. I am talking about the things that Gambian people face. I am talking about the things that Gambian people want change, not things that would interest me. So that one I put it aside. Mm-hmm. But what is happening in this country is that even Gambians abroad, you want to invest in something. You go to an office and the person says, this is not there is no kickbacks in it for me. You block it. But I understand that even some places they ask for percentage. I will not name names because I am a lawyer.
I know there was this famous 46%.
Well, some people say in some places it's 30%, some people say in some places it's 20%. But corruption is killing this country. But some of the people, we have to make a distinction here. We have those who participate in the rubber corruption. That is the corruption for survival. The policeman standing on the road who is paid $3,000 and is expected to pay rent of $8,000 and school fees of $10,000 and chop money of $1,000 a day. Because now, if you do not give $1,000 a day, you cannot have 3 square meals. You cannot. Trust me. In my house, I have 4 people who live there at the moment. I understand it's $400 every morning for breakfast.
Wow.
So they haven't eaten lunch yet. They haven't eaten dinner. In fact, nowadays, people don't give breakfast or dinner in their homes. Most homes don't give breakfast or dinner. You only take lunch and then you tie your stomach until the next day.
Is that because of cost of living crisis?
The cost of living is terrible. It's killing the... But look, if you have a free-falling dollar, the cost of living would continue to rise on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. Look, it's not just the cost of living. It's the cost of everything in this country. Look at the cost of cement. Today is $450
oh, wow.
for a bag of cement. Can you imagine? But this is Baronomics. Kill every small dealer and just prop 1 or 2 individuals. And then you kill every other small dealer. Look at what happened in the importation of cement. You know, this Baronomics has killed the cement business in Farafenni. A lot of the Farafenni youths were invested in this business. They have become jobless. Most of them are now riding Jakartas or have taken to the back way because Baro has killed their business. And because of that, the cost of cement is rising on a daily basis. It's now $450 for a bag of cement in some places. Baronomics is killing this country. We have to change this government.
Okay, let's say we change the government and Essa is now heading this new government. What will you do about Baronomics? And how will you how will you go about fixing the economy?
Look, we would put in place a government that knows what it is doing. We would remove, obviously, all these square pegs in round holes and have qualified, competent specialists to man institutions. Now, look, our Minister of Agriculture is a doctor or a nurse. You think our agriculture would advance? It will fail massively. We have a chartered accountant, super intelligent, superstar in finance. He's finance minister. You know, people think that because finance, therefore he can be finance minister. No. A finance minister has to be an economist. For you to be tops, you have to be an economist. So that's why we now have a transactions government. Everything is transactional. That is what chartered accountants know.
Interesting.
See, the finance minister is world star in his field.
In chartered accountancy.
In accountancy and finance. He
okay.
is world star, world rated. He is one of the most intelligent Gambians, one of the most educated Gambians. But squared peg in round holes.
He shouldn't be finance minister.
No. Make him anything. Don't make him finance minister. If he was...
But the ministry is called Finance and Economic Affairs, so...
Yes. But it is not finance as in financial transactions.
Okay. No, I just needed to...
But look at it. Now everything is transactional. The Senegambia Bridge, transaction away, they call it asset recycling.
Well, they've explained that. I mean, we are not good at maintaining infrastructure. And,
but shouldn't we be putting in place a Department of Government Efficiency and ensuring that we have efficiency in every aspect of government?
That didn't work in the US. Doge.
It doesn't mean that it wouldn't work in Gambia. I use that term deliberately because this is what Gambia needs. And this is what we are going to bring. We have to ensure efficiency in every aspect of government. You know, we will bring competent people like Sidi, highly educated, world star in his
Where
area.
would you have positioned him in your government?
I will put him as a Minister of Trade or...
Well, he was put there. I don't know. Why did they move him then?
I don't know. Or I'll make him a special advisor with ministerial status.
No, the advisors, most of them are politicians anyway. And he's not a politician.
But exactly. So we should stop this nonsense of bringing these advisors who have nothing to offer. You know, make him a special advisor on finance for the government with ministerial status. You know, or make him a controller of all government transactions. He would be superstar.
Fantastic.
You see, and get an expert in agriculture, an expert in agronomy, and you make him the person Minister of Agriculture. Let me just give you one example, Peter. Tobaski is coming.
Yes, just around the corner, and the Point newspaper is saying we should try and facilitate the entry of rams from outside the Gambia because apparently we can't produce enough rams internally.
Well, the Ministry of Agriculture had a project on small ruminants, and they got about $24 million injected into a small ruminants project. You know, Senegal did. During the times of WADA, because of problems between Senegal and Mauritania, Mali and Senegal, and the other, it's Mauritania and Senegal didn't have sheep. Ablaye Wada came up with a program on small ruminants. They produced the ladum, which is the most expensive ram in our sub-region. Yes, for a ladum can even cost $1 million.
Is it this one that stands as tall as a cow?
Exactly. You see, so now Senegal, they produce a lot of small ruminants.
Yeah, but irrespective, I think the Point is reporting that they are thinking of importing 250,000 rams for Tobaski.
Yes, it would have to happen because we don't have the knowledge, the know-how.
In Senegal, I mean.
Yes, but Senegal is because of population explosion. They are unable to produce all the cattle, all the sheep, livestock that they need. But it's even worse in Gambia because we depend on Senegal and Mali and Mauritania. By Tobaski, if you don't have 20,000, you cannot...
Well, luckily, I don't have to worry about that.
You don't have to worry about that. But for those of us who have to, 20,000 would give you a small lamb.
Just a lamb?
Yes.
And you need to kill a sheep.
Exactly. So, call it exaggerated. But so I'm funny. Just trying to show that this is expensive. So just imagine for the person earning $3,000 or $5,000, how would they ever afford this money? Ask me what happened about the small ruminants.
What happened about the small
They gave the money to party supporters and it failed woefully.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
Look, you know what? If Gambia would audit the success of projects that have come to this country, I'm telling you, people will be angry with the Barrow government. Because a lot of these things that come to this country, they give them to party supporters.
Don't forget that audits are mere opinions.
Well, you see, the president was ill-advised. The president, I'm sad to say this, that the president did not understand what audit meant. If you audit the financial accounts of companies, the auditors would give an opinion of
and they would say it's an educated opinion.
Yes, okay? But you can have a forensic audit, an audit that is intended to discover maladministration, fraud, and things like that. So there are different types of audit. In those instances, yes, you offer an opinion, okay, because that by itself is not the evidence. The evidence is the underlying material for the transactions. So you see, sometimes education matters.
We spoke about the ghost workers at the beginning, and you said you would come back to it. Talk about it in the context of easing, the country's debt stock. All right. Well, because the explanation I got the permanent secretary in charge of reforms, who led the audits that uncovered these ghost workers. Initially 1424 and another 679. So you're talking 2000.
2142, I think they last said.
Yeah.
But my brother, can you imagine 2,142 ghost workers in a small service as the Gambia Civil Service? It is mind-boggling.
Yeah, I tried to ask the permanent secretary how large the civil service was.
They would not tell you an answer. Because the percentage of the ghost worker population is high. I understand that they are saving $13.5 million a month because of these ghost workers who've been discovered and their salaries stopped. What government has not told us is, from Barrow's term until today, how much money has Gambia government lost to these ghost workers? Because if it is 13.5 million a month.
They only started stopping the salaries last October.
Exactly.
So the last 7 months.
Exactly. So it means in 1 year, it is 130 plus 26. It's 156 or 157 million dollars per annum. So if this would have been happening for 5 years, it is about $800 million. That's why I call the NPP as Nafulo Pisir Pasar. It's 1 ton wastage of government money. Just imagine that alone, a whopping 850 something million in 5 years. You go to the stadium, another $400 million you wasted. You go to
now we are playing football there. We just play football there on Saturday.
For $400 million, I could have done that for 50. I could have done that project for 50. The only thing that is there is paint. I am telling you. My brother, this is Nafulo Pisir Pasar is absolute waste of government resources. Look at the vehicles.
Paint and chairs. Now we have seats. We didn't have seats before.
That is just plastic. Anyway, all right. But anyway, give them credit. They managed to play football there. So I met a kid in Banjul yesterday. He told me Senegal built 2 multi-$100 million stadiums in 2 years. We are doing maintenance in 3 years at 400 and something million. Now they claim it's 200 and something. It's an absolute waste. This government knows nothing other than wasting public money. Just if you would lump up the waste in this government, it runs into billions. It can even offset.
You know what they will say? Mm-hmm. What's your proof? What's your evidence?
They will never accept it, but let's start counting. The ghost workers. For 5 years, it would be over 800
They
million.
inherited these ghost workers.
But isn't it the responsibility of government?
That is true.
One of the undertakings made by the Borough government was that they would do civil service reform. True. And to do a proper civil service reform, you need to do an audit of the civil service. So that would tell you who is who and where they work.
Yeah.
If they had done that, they would have discovered. Look at how long it has taken Barrow government to do a civil service audit. Barrow came into power in 2017.
Yes.
We are now in 2025. What were they doing? They were in their slumber all this time. If they had done the right thing, they would have saved us that 800 million. Look at the Meet the People store. That is something that can be done for $3 million. It's now a whopping 60-something million.
Well, officially 50. Officially 50.
But we know that they do not respect their own laws. Well, you know that they do not respect their own allocations. So they spend what they want. So if you take it an average of 60 million, how much is gone to waste? Look at the vehicles. Over $1 billion on vehicles. If you put it already, you have passed the $2 billion.
You know, finance would say 800 million, not billion.
But this is what it is with this government. They never deny that this did not happen. They would tell you it is less severe than you make it. You know what? It's just window dressing.
That's a good point.
It's window dressing. That's what they do. Oh, it's 400 million. No, it's 238. We are saying every single dollar counts. You waste a single dollar, we are interested. It should not happen. We are a poor country. So you're telling me, oh, it's only 60 million or 50 million. It's not 65. We are saying every single butut is a waste. So they have to, management of public finance is important.
Jar Oil, the company, have filling stations across the country, and our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Jar Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market.
Excellent jam, Wave.
Yo, apply. Yo, luta do dede. Luta mo nulo jël moto nga andil ma xaalis. Hello? Ano lay waxal?
Bisul mu fine.
What?
Bisul mu fine.
Oh, yes!
Wave in Gambia. Deposit and withdraw money, pay bills and buy mobile credit without fees. Transfer money wherever in the country for only 1% fee. At Wave, Bisul mu fine? Wave, your money is yours.
Let's talk about issues that of interest to Gambians. Salaji is a hot talking point. I mean, what do you think of Salaji? We had a victim here, bemoaning what's going on at Salaji.
But this is a government that does not respect its own procedures. It does not respect its own official actions. And I hope to God that people of Salaji would take the government to court and get adequate compensation. Not just compensation, but also damages. Because if government would give you a paper as title to land, so it means government has accepted the underlying transactions for those lands. You see, it's in law, you cannot go back, on your promise, on your undertaking. Because by accepting the transactions and giving you the paper, they are foreclosed from going back.
Explain this to me, because government is saying that they acquired the area they're carrying out the demolitions in.
But the thing is, the people were given building permits. By who?
Okay.
By who?
Now you're clear. Those who
by the government.
Those who erected structures, homes, or whatever,
yes,
had been cleared.
Yes.
By an agency, a window of the government to go and do what they did.
Exactly.
Okay.
Shouldn't that government own up to that? I understand there are two things here. There is compulsory acquisition. Okay? It's accepted by the Constitution, and a procedure is laid out.
Okay, who did compulsory acquisition here?
No, I'm coming.
Yeah.
You have two things. One is compulsory acquisition. The other is enforcing the laws that you cannot build on land that you do not own, or you cannot build on reserved lands. These are two different things and require two different legal tracks. What was the government doing? Were they compulsorily acquiring, or were they enforcing the laws of physical planning? Because if they were enforcing the laws of physical planning, they are estopped. This is the doctrine of estoppel. It's a contract. They are estopped by the fact that they have issued the planning permissions for these buildings. So it could not have, therefore, been enforcement of the physical planning laws. So were they doing compulsory acquisition? Compulsory acquisition does not allow you to just come and bulldoze and then you compensate. No, there is a process. So what were they doing? They were doing wanton, foolish, and stupid destruction of people's properties, causing unnecessary grief for people, causing unnecessary stress, compelling people to homelessness. All this could have been avoided. Government should have sat down with the people, look at the map, look at the situation, accept their own failings, and negotiate with the people as to best way to solve this problem in a humane way, and in a way that would take into account the problems of the people. Would they give them alternative accommodation? How much compensation should they pay? Who is entitled to that compensation and things like that? That is what the government should have done, but not just come bim, bim, bam. That is abuse of authority. They did it in the clearance operations. Look at how much destruction they have done. You know, if a person owns a table and invested a lot of resources in that table, why come and damage the table?
Yeah, because the table is in the wrong place, Essa.
But the thing is, the remedy.
We should be an ordered society.
I agree.
I'm sure if you go, whenever you've been to Rwanda, not once, not twice, and whenever you've been there, you've loved the country because it's ordered.
I have never been there.
Oh, you've never been?
No,
Surprise.
I'm longing to go.
You should.
I'm longing to go.
Well, that's one country I've been to that you haven't been to.
Thank you. But you have highly accomplished. So, but the solution to that problem is not destruction. The solution to that problem is removal.
Okay.
These two things are fundamentally different.
Yeah, destruction, absolutely. I
destruction
agree.
is foolish, is stupid.
Yeah, remove the table, don't destroy it.
Exactly.
But in most cases, it's because these are permanent fixtures.
Even if they are permanent fixtures, there's a way to do it. But look, these people, they just went on a rampage and left a lot of debris in their way.
And, the sad thing is, all of that chaos has literally moved back in once they once they reached another place.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you know what? For some of these things, it is them who give the authorization in the first place. It's them and the area councils.
To put up those structures?
Yes, it's them and the area councils.
Okay.
So that is why you don't authorize a person to do something and then you turn around and punish the person.
We must leave room for some of the questions, and I'm still not done with mine. The point is telling us this morning, Kanilai Ferry back in operation. Where am I going with that? Earlier on, you hinted at the Senegambia bridge being, recycled. Yeah, there are people who don't like the expression. The ports is gone. GCCA, or is it GCAA? Gambia Civil Aviation. Yeah,
GCIA.
GCAA.
GCAA.
Civil Aviation Authority. Friendship Hotel. They are next in line.
But it's a transactional government. That's what the head of our.
How much harm do you think this is inflicting on our economy? Their explanation is we are not just good at maintaining facilities. Which you look at the ferry, look at this sorry ferry situation.
You know something. There is also what is called national pride. That is very important. Okay? Businesses, strictly sensu, don't necessarily operate on principles of humanity. It's profit. But a government has an obligation to ensure that the principles that they operate under are also humane. They are also just for the people. So by giving everything away to private businesses, you are taking away that possibility. You know, so people are now at the mercy of the business. But why is it that government can't even be efficient? Isn't that a defeatist position? You are saying that you are incapable. Well, if you are incapable, resign from office. If Barrow is incapable of ensuring that the departments under him or the entities under him cannot perform, he should resign. That is what should happen. And not necessarily mortgage these things. And mortgage them cheaply. I use the word mortgage just to show that it is just a wanton transfer of assets to others at very little interest to government. Look at ports. Sharing arrangement. 80% to the Turkish, 20% to Gambia. What have they brought in there? The only thing they have brought in is system change.
And it's worked immediately. Apparently, you know, the backlog of ships, you know, has disappeared overnight.
Isn't that an indictment to the government? That you cannot even organize an entity to be efficient? Yeah. The government must resign. That's what they should do. An honorable government would resign because they are incapable of delivering on the wishes and the aspirations of the people.
Okay, so you wouldn't recycle?
No. Well, look, in this business, you don't say no or never. There are certain things that are not necessarily for government to do. All right? But for a developing country, there are certain things that represent our sovereignty. Really, you want government to retain it.
One big money gobbler, and they have to be commended for taking, you know, a decision not to continue, you know, putting money in a black hole. That is NAWEC. NAWEC consumes a lot of money. The pressure on the Dalasi, part of it is NAWEC because, you know, we were buying electricity from outsiders who had to be paid in foreign currency. But they have, you know, mutually agreed with Car Powership that a contract that was initially to last for 2 years has gone on since 2018. So Car Powership is on its way out. I hope we don't start being punished for that, you know, so that it justifies bringing them back. I think we should move forward from. How would you deal with NAWEC?
I think that there are. It's difficult to deal with it blindly without knowing all the underlying causes of this problem.
Yeah, one thing, they eat up a lot of money annually.
Yes. But what I would do is first I will commission a detailed study about the terrible malaise that afflicts now.
The finance minister tried to do that, and he faced incredible pushback.
Okay. The reason then is it is constituted by people who do not want the problem solved.
That is correct.
So how do you deal with that? It's removal.
So you would have no qualms sacking people, heads rolling?
No, you don't necessarily sack.
What do you do?
You can move.
Yeah, you move them there, you know, they take their habits with them. That's how we are.
No.
You move one permanent secretary from information to prisons, they go with their habits.
No, you see, that's why for APP Sobea, one of our important priorities is public sector reform. We have to study the entire public sector and ensure reform. We would have to bring in a lean, efficient, and highly qualified public service. And those who would be made redundant would be retrained, repurposed, and redeployed.
I was going to ask, how would you deal with unemployment then?
Yes, that's why I said
so when you
retrained and repurposed and deployed in other places.
Sure.
But there are some who you just make redundant, give them compensation, and help them set up businesses. We did that in 1985, so we have experience in doing that.
At the heart of the ERP,
exactly.
Economic Recovery Program.
So we don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. We ensure that it is done in a very humane way. It is doable. We can do it. And in that process, you deal with NAWEC. set up a new institution, but make sure that you give it the tools to be able to do its work properly. We have to address the problem of leakages in distribution. We generate well, but distribution involves a lot of leakages. We have to fix that. Yeah. We also have to fix the problem in the procurement system. Gambia's biggest problem is the stealing and the corruption in the procurement system. True. GPPA is doing very, very well, but it cannot police everything.
Yeah, but GPPA also is being criticized for exempting, certain institutions we know have an integrity problem.
But that is why you need a government that is very serious about corruption. Look, we talked about this ghost worker problem. How many people have been arrested? 0.
To date, yes, 0.
How many people have been prosecuted? 0. You mean 2,142 people were receiving salaries illegally? And up to now, you're telling me nobody has been arrested. You are promoting corruption. In fact, that is a violation of the laws of the country, because the president's primary responsibility is to ensure implementation and upholding of the law. So now you have 2,142 people unjustifiably receiving a salary. And nobody's been even interviewed at the police. That is a national tragedy. What is happening? Are they sleeping at State House? Don't they know what they should be doing?
Well, give them credit for carrying out the audits that unearthed all these ghost workers.
But what is the benefit of a study, the results of which would be either thrown in the dustbin or put on the shelves to gather dust? Well, that is also part of the Baro system of administration. Look at the Constitution, the draft Constitution. How much money spent on that?
The 2020.
The 2020, $100 and something million.
116.
116 is jettisoned into the dustbin. TRRC, look at the recommendations. You accepted 265 out of 268 recommendations, and then you put the report in the dustbin.
That report must have been very well written, huh?
Well, give credit.
For 265 out of 268 to convince them.
In fact, the 3 that have been rejected are 3 that have been rejected on political grounds.
How do you mean?
Yes, because it's inconvenient for President Barrow to accept that some of his friends and some of the people he work with have done things that merit them not working for government any longer. He would not accept it.
So the 3 he, rejected are those that directly affect...
That is just 1 or 2. And the other is, say, Sana Sabali. The amnesty for Sana Sabali is rejected. Why did wrong grounds?
Why did the commission want Sana amnestied, not exonerated, amnestied?
Because Sana came and gave a truthful account, what the commission viewed as a truthful account of what happened. And Sana did not commit crimes against humanity, because Sana was there July 22nd until I think until early in February, I think, 1995. So very early on.
Yeah, but he said he was going around with bicycle wheel chaining people in the open.
But that's not crimes against humanity.
I wasn't in this country at the time.
But the only provision, the provision that deals with amnesty says that if you are remorseful, you speak the truth, you're remorseful, you accept the conditions for amnesty, you are granted amnesty, except if you have committed crimes against humanity.
Okay, which you're saying he did.
So government rejected that recommendation and argued that Sana Sabali is one of those who bears greatest responsibility for the crimes. That is true, he bore greater responsibility for the crimes of that time, but those crimes did not amount to crimes against humanity. So therefore, they rejected it on the wrong reason. But this is strictly law.
Let's progress the conversation. Everybody's saying no single party can win an election in this country. Parties have to coalesce.
What
I read in one headline, either last week or that you are willing to lead talks on building a coalition, opposition coalition.
Yes, I am willing. I have since 2021 been asking, rather 2022, been asking for coalition. Gambia is quite interesting and quite funny. In 2023, I recall, I called for coalition. NPP people insulted me so badly, in the social media. UDP insulted me so badly in social media. Even in 2024, I did the same again. I called for coalition. Both parties insulted me. Or I'd rather say members of both parties, because it's not necessarily an institutional decision. But now, people are saying, Essa Faal must go for coalition. I said, but I was the one always calling for coalition. So it's those who were insulting me for calling a coalition. Those are the people to be convinced, not me. They're preaching to the choir. In fact, I have been the one calling for it. I do not agree with the premise that it's only a coalition that can remove Barrow.
You don't agree with that?
No, I don't agree with that. Because you know what?
No.
Gambian politics, yes, it's done on the platforms of political parties, but it's deeply personal. When you people go to the ballot, they don't see parties. They see individuals. It's a contest between individuals. I know for certain that Barrow's popularity is waning. Big time.
It's waning.
It's waning.
They're saying it's going up and up and up, his supporters.
Well, they call me delusional.
Exactly.
But I think they must be sleeping. They are in a slumber. Look, if you go around Basse, maybe his stock is still high. But between Banjul and Kalaji,
he just won in half-die ward.
Yeah, but against a party that has not won any political office since 1992.
Okay.
You see, and that is deeply local. It was not about NPP and PPP. It was personalities. And in fact, in Afdai, if they were not giving $500 to houses, yes, they would not have won, but it is true. They were giving $500.
How did I miss out? Man, I'm from Afdai, number 2 Charles Street. I should have gone back and get a $500.
Well, there was a lot of bribery. Look,
wow.
We have to be honest. In Gambian politics, there's a lot of bribery, especially by the regime in power. Okay? That is the truth. They may deny it. They may say Essa Faal is lying. I pray to God that I would never be in a situation where I'd have to lie. But they would say that Essa Faal is lying.
But you know for sure that they were giving $500.
I know for certain that they were giving $500. Wow. Many people received $500. Or they were giving out money.
I missed out.
Yes, they were giving out money. But that is true. Gambian politics is like that. Well, why did Barrow win in 2021? Because they were also giving out goodies. Somebody would say that, oh, he went to a particular village and Essa Faal was giving out jerseys to a football team. That's a lie.
Were you not giving out jerseys?
My team gave out jerseys once.
Yeah,
it was, just a moment, it was not tied to the election. It was way before. I was not even aware of it. And, but this happened in a completely different place from where this person was talking about. Look, people take opportunities to lie about people and say things that they know that are not true, but they say it nonetheless because you want to stain the person. But in Afdai, to be quite candid, they gave out money to people.
Oh, wow.
They did. They may not accept it. They may deny it. Maybe they will put a police out of the door here to have me arrested for saying what I have said.
Oh, no. Well, Barrow says such things don't happen ever again in this country.
But that is not true.
And the minister...
That is not
Let me
true.
just come. The information minister just said that, there are no threats to freedom of the press in this country evermore. You are here At my invitation.
Yes.
All right. So I hope they don't try to arrest you because you came on my program, because you haven't said anything here that, that means...
they have tried many times. Look, when I had that runnings with that person they sent to come and insult my parents, I reported the matter to the police. They charged me with an offense.
Oh.
Yes. They charged me with...
Somebody insulted your parents.
Yes.
You went and reported to the police, which is what is recommended, which is what is advised, and you said they charged you.
Yes.
What did they say you did? You lied against the person?
No, they said they charged me with idle and disorderly conduct.
For hanging around a police station.
Yes, because you see, this is
I shouldn't be laughing.
This is a colonial legacy, and dictatorial governments tend to latch onto it.
So, but it's in the books.
Yes, it's the vagrancy laws.
Okay.
It's Public Order Act.
Again, these are the things they would do and say, well, listen,
Yes,
we're
that's
just
right.
going according to the law.
Yeah, but the thing is...
Which leads me to ask then, do you think this National Assembly, even the one before it, took any responsibility? It was, we were supposed to have broken, clear of the past.
But you cannot blame the National Assembly
The
for
law.
the excesses of the executive. You can only blame the executive for their excesses. Look.
No, but this was acting on a law.
Yes.
Get them take this law out of our books and put in, better laws.
No, but these are necessary laws. Good laws, but badly applied. You target a political figure to embarrass the person or to create such opportunities so that the person could be disqualified from running. So they trap you. This person came to me and started insulting my parents. On video, everybody was seeing it in the country, and everybody saw me standing there, my arms folded. I reported to the police.
And the police.
People were blaming me for being where I was. It's just like people blaming me for being here, because you invited me.
Yes.
In that instance, I was invited by a friend in his own restaurant. They know that's where I go to. I don't go anywhere else. But these are terrible things that happen. I hope they would not happen again in this country. If there is anything that President Barrow has done well in, is maintaining the peace in this country.
You said that at the beginning and you are repeating it.
Because I believe in everything I say, I believe it. And I am not the person who seeks to score political points by lying against people. I don't do that. What they do to me, they come and lie. Oh, Essa Faal is Ahmadiyya. They bloody well know, excuse my language, for saying that. They know that is not true, but they say it to score political points.
But even if it were true, what happened with freedom of association?
But that is not important for them. What is important for them is saying things that would stain a person in a way that they think would give them political
Well, I hope
advantage.
they don't use my Christianity and Catholicism against me. Because
I
I'm a proud Christian and proud Catholic.
I embrace an interfaith Gambia in which we all live in peace and harmony.
Yeah.
I grew up in that environment. The first parties I have attended as a child were organized by Auntie Alice. She used to live right next door to us. She took us all as her children, in spite of the fact that we have differences in faith. Christmas was something that we looked forward to the most, because Christmas we would receive gifts, we would receive a lot of new things. And Christmas was the time in which we all came together and celebrated what we all believed was Banjul culture.
Yeah.
It was not about Christianity.
Yeah.
So for us, Gambia belongs to all of us. It does not matter what religion you belong
Absolutely.
to. It does not matter what languages you speak.
Let me put
It does not matter which region you come from. It does not matter what tribe you belong to. It belongs to all of us, and together, and only together, can we develop this country. And that is what I stand for, a united Gambia.
Let me put in just one more question before I go. Maybe we need 10. Maybe we need 10 hours. That's what happens when you have two, past pupils of St. Augustine's engaging in a conversation.
Please,
Lamin will be so jealous now.
I can imagine.
Just finally from me, before I get to, some of... How much time do you have?
I have time, Peter.
Okay,
I have time for the Gambian people. Remember, I have resigned the top job at the ICC.
Okay.
Just to focus.
Fantastic.
On politics for
So
the
in
Gambian
terms of
people.
your political engagement, I mean, now against the the end of the year, let's just stop at 2025, and then when 2026 comes, hopefully we will get an opportunity to sit again and chat. In fact, we should bring you back here for a conversation entirely in Wolof. Just in Wolof.
I'd be happy
because
to
I'm
do
sure I know a friend who will say to me, why sa watan wete ak Essa, why waron ngeen ci dugal Wolof tuuti, So what's your political engagement? How do you now that you've left all your jobs overseas, you've come back home, politically, how do you intend to engage yourself now against December?
I'm still doing things for the ICC, but I am doing it from Gambia because I just don't want to be going again. So I have that flexibility. So I'll do them from here, but I will focus a great deal on the politics. I do believe that sometimes some of the things I say, no matter how foolish some may view them, they do matter. They do influence policy. And it is important that I continue to amplify the voices of the Gambian people. It is important that the cries of the people are brought out in high pitch for everybody to hear. It is important that what people go through are brought out for everybody to see. It is important that people bring out policy prescriptions that can help change what is happening in this country. That's what I stand for, and that's why I am doing what I'm doing. You know, yesterday I met a young guy who told me that he used to sell cement in Farafenni. Now he cannot sell cement because this business has been taken away from them. So he's now driving a taxi in town. I felt very saddened by that. These are the kinds of things that keep me walking. The other day, when I just arrived, I met a young man, who said, Mr. Faal, we are all behind you. I asked him, but why? Because I wanted to know what works and what doesn't work. He says, what you are saying for us. You see, he said, I listened to one of your videos in which you said that they are taking Gambians to Spain to go and pick apples and oranges for Spain. Why can't we have those farms in Gambia in which Gambian youths would be picking their own oranges and mangoes? I said, you watch that? He said, yes. He says, this is the reason why we are behind you. I said, thank you. I will continue to fight for you people. I will continue to say the things that matter for you people. Look, we have a government that is not taking the Gambian youth seriously. Just look at artisanal fishing. You know now Gambia...
By the way, I should be doing a program on that on Thursday. I'll be getting an environmental activist and a fisherman on the program because this fishing issue is amazing.
The other day I saw a video. Chinese fishing trawler chasing local fishing vessels out of the fishing zone. Intimidating them, chasing them out of the fishing zone. These are our own waters. For heaven's sake, why can't we police our own waters too? Look, it's 48 miles. It's 48 nautical miles. Not long. We can't even police that. That is sad. We cannot even police our waters. So our seas are being desecrated. We don't even know how much fish is being caught here. There's no fishing port in Gambia. So all the fish that is caught is taken to Dakar. We go to Dakar to inspect. Isn't that a national tragedy?
Really?
Yes. Shouldn't we, in fact, insist that the EU and the Chinese would first process their fish here, their catch in Gambia? So they would establish fishing factories, processing plants, and then take them abroad then we would be exporting processed fish instead of just the catches at sea. So these are things that a government could do. But if they're sleeping, we don't have the right policies. So now Gambians go to St. Louis to buy fish.
Ndar.
All the way to Ndar to buy fish to bring to this country. Look at our local catches. Very, very tiny fish. Growing up fishes that we used to throw.
Yeah, juvenile fish.
Juvenile fishes is now what we sell in the market. The other day, I read that the Ministry of Fisheries has invested in helping artisanal fishermen in Gambia by providing 20 fishing boats. You know at what price?
No.
A whopping $1.3 million for a canoe, for a pirogue for fishing.
They don't cost that much.
I would not expect, my brother. Then it means one would have to be a millionaire to be a fisherman in Gambia. $1.3 million.
Axel jam si Wave.
Yo, apply. Yo, luta do dede. Luta mo nulo jël moto nga andil ma xaalis. Hello? Ano lay waxal?
Bisul mu fine.
What?
Bisul mu fine. Wave Axina Gambia. Deposit and withdraw money, pay bills and buy mobile credit without fees. Transfer money wherever in the country for only 1% fee. Ak Wave. Bisul mu fine? Wave. Your money is yours.
Jar Oil, the company, have filling stations across the country, and our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Jar Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market.